Week 21 is over. The playoff picture is locked, and somehow I still have no idea who is winning this thing. Because if this weekend showed us anything, it's that nothing feels settled. You've got teams heading into the playoffs looking absolutely dominant, and then in the same breath showing cracks that shouldn't be there this late in the season. You've got contenders that do not feel like contenders. You've got underdogs that look absolutely scary, and that's what makes this so weird right now. This should be a moment where everything feels clear, where you can point and say, that's the team that's going to do it. But you can't, because the way week 21 played out, it didn't give us answers. It gave us more questions. And now we head into the playoffs with momentum being everything, but momentum being completely unpredictable. And just when the league should be building towards one clear focused spotlight, they do the exact opposite. Stacked game times, overlapping playoff matchups, fans forced to choose what games they can even watch at the most important time of the year. And off the floor, things aren't exactly calming down either, because while the playoffs are getting ready to start, Lacrosse Canada is still making noise. More updates, more questions, and still no real clarity. So now you've got chaos on the floor, questions off the floor, and a playoff bracket that feels completely wide open. So today we break it all down. Week 21, the playoff picture, the scheduling issues, and everything you need heading into round one. So today, let's get right into it. Welcome back. My name is Rick McDonald. I'm Anything Lacrosse, and this is the game that never sits still. As always, leave me a comment on what you like to see in these episodes, what you liked about these episodes, anything else you want to hear in here. I'll put it in here if it's in the comments. Or go follow the socials, follow Discord. Things will be coming up on the screen right now to go check it out. I've had a couple of new members in the Discord this week, so I think what I'm preaching is working, and there's some really great conversations in there. I always try to drop at least one comment in there as well. One comment in there as well, or a question a day, kind of just try to get everything going. There's lots of great conversations naturally as well, though, and it's just a great place to be. There's a lot of great lacrosse minds in there that are much more knowledgeable and have been around the game a lot longer than me. So I love bouncing things off them in there. Last week, as soon as I went to post my podcast last week, more information, more minutes dropped about Lacrosse Canada. So we're going to go over those. We're also going to go through the financials of. We're going to go through the playoff schedule that we've got for the NLL. We're going to be going through, and then we'll just be going through the recap of the week. I'll go through all my season awards. I'm going to give you all my season awards out this one as well. Who I think should win each award. Now I'm just some dummy. I don't have a vote, unlike some of these other guys. I would love to. I hope one day that I'll be in that little clique and. That I'll be able to get in and have a vote. I feel like if I continue to do what I'm going to do, I will get in there. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Also, some people always say like, oh, do you feel like you're included in these, some people will put me in the same breath as like an OTCB or like a lacrosse classified. And I will say, as much as I love those guys and like, I think that they, or like even a loose mash or, daily dive or anything like that, like I'm not that level yet. And I appreciate anybody who makes that comparison. But unfortunately, other than TikTok, my numbers are very small. And so anybody listening to this, I really do appreciate you that much extra. But also, I'm not in any group chats or anything, right? So there's a lot of these guys who are all in group chats together. All these like media people and stuff, they're all in the group chats together. I'm not in any group chat. So until I get into a group chat, I'm not asking to be one. I don't want to have to ask. Somebody wants to throw me one, I'd be appreciative. But I don't really consider I made it until like the league follows me. I'm in the group chats. I'm on the inside. I'm getting all the inside information, kind of stuff like that. Right now, I'm just some guy on the internet making videos. I do probably know more than, maybe the average lacrosse fan does, or somebody that doesn't do content at all, because I'm intertwined somewhat with these guys. But as much as like I'm not getting the email, I've applied, I'm not on the email list to get the numbers of attendance that goes there. Like I'm working my way in there, and I'm hoping as the seasons go on, I'll get there. I'm gonna buy season tickets to the Halifax Thunderbirds, even if they're not gonna be my team. I will also be going over that as well, who's gonna be my playoff team, and it's gonna be interesting. So with all that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, so we got playoffs. So they've got Halifax on Friday night at 10 o'clock. They did move that back, I think, actually a little bit. I think that's been moved back a little bit because I think it was later on, but I could be wrong about that. That could just be my time frame that I'm looking at. Some people are complaining about that. It's a West Coast game, guys. This is the whole debate about unification standings or unified standings, is that this is what's going to happen. And I don't know if I'm in love with it. I kind of prefer to see an East versus West myself. That's just myself, but it is what it is. And this is what we have right now, right? And then we've got Saturday. This is where the Friday night game's not horrible. Don't get me wrong, but it would be nice to have one of these Eastern games. Like even if you could have swung. Now again, I'm not the guy making the schedule. Okay, so keep that in mind. But if the problem is you got all West Coast games. Essentially, Georgia's the only East Coast game. Would have been nice to see Georgia slide up maybe on Friday night, maybe Georgia Buffalo. But the way that everything's done, like Colorado, San Diego, that's a West Coast game, guys. And Saskatchewan, Toronto, Saskatchewan in Toronto, so that's a West Coast game. So it's not that they're on later for me is the issue, because at the end of the day, that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And our East Coast teams need to do a better job trying to get these home playoff advantage, right? So you got Halifax versus Vancouver on Friday night. Halifax is by far the underdog. They squeaked their way in with an under 50% win rate this year. I think they might have been at 50, what were they, 8-8? Actually, they might have been at 50%. No. Yeah, they were under. No, they were 8-10. Sorry. They were under 50%. So Halifax, but if you watched how they played for Vancouver a couple weeks ago, 1-goal game, and Vancouver just went, they're a strong team. Then you've got how they played last week. They have a veteran team. Their backs are against the wall. And I do think they have a good enough team right now. If everything is healthy, everything goes right. Is Hogarth coming back? I don't know. There's been kind of rumblings about that. I haven't heard anything concrete about that. And then is Randy Stott's going to be there, right? Again, we will see what happens. I hope that if those guys both come back, Warren Hill plays the same way that he's been playing. This team is not dead in the water, okay? And this is one of my last teams to be on. Like, I have 3 teams left currently, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But what team I'm picking, I have 3 teams left. This is going to be one of those things that, could this be my team? I don't know. So Halifax running, like, they've put themselves in a really bad position, but they're not dead in the water by any means. So get that one Friday night. That one's going to be a banger, amazing game. I'll be watching, I'll be streaming, and we'll be playing. Up till that, we'll be streaming the new lacrosse game as long as it's available, because I wanted to look at it yesterday and it still wasn't available to buy. So I'm assuming on Friday it'll be available to buy. I'm going to buy it Friday, download it. I'll stream basically from the time I get home from work. We'll be streaming back and forth. And I'm going to try to get some people in there to play and stuff. But up until the game for a few hours, we'll be going live. We'll be doing streaming of the game, all that kind of stuff. So I'm pumped for that. Now, with that being said, on Saturday, here's where we run into the real issues. So you have Buffalo, Georgia starting at 7:30 Eastern time. And then you've got San Diego, Colorado, and Toronto, Saskatchewan, both starting at 9. Now, this is what has been a little bit of a tweak. And the problem is, from what I heard from basically reliable sources, everybody going around, that it was the owners. The league tried to push this to have things change so that the games to be staggered, but the owners want sales, and they think that if they don't put the games on at the regular times, that the fans won't show up. I disagree with that. I personally think that fans, if you're a diehard fan of any team and they're playing a playoff game, your ass is going to be at that game. Whether that is, I don't know what owners were pushing back, I don't know whatever, but basically they just couldn't come to an agreement, so they decided to play at the same time. This sucks for NL fans. This sucks for viewership. This sucks for everything, because now, for me personally, they just put me in there. I would have watched all 4 games. I will still be watching 4 games because I have multiple TVs. But for somebody who has just one single TV and they're trying to watch, and they have to decide between a Saskatchewan, Toronto, or a San Diego, Colorado, that's going to be a hard one to pick. I'm going to watch this Toronto Saskatchewan game personally, but I'll have the Colorado San Diego on secondly. But that's because I think Colorado's going to absolutely dust San Diego. So I don't think that I don't see San Diego winning that game. Now, San Diego is they're a little bit of a they're like a thorn in your side, man. They're good. They're better than what I thought they were going to be. But they give, even last year in the playoffs, they took Buffalo. Buffalo only beat them 9-8, I think it was, or 7-6 or something. So it's like they had a 1-goal game. I think it could be a close game, but I do think Colorado's winning. I don't care what the score is. Colorado will win. Now, they should go out and absolutely dust them, but I just have a funny feeling San Diego's a scrappy. Hey, from BSC saying this, I'm stealing this off him. It would have been nice to see like a 6, an 8, and a 10 start. So you might have had a little bit of overlap, but it would have been nothing. It wouldn't have been a big deal. Like 7 to 8's not a big deal, you know? And so that's the thing. I don't know. To me, it wouldn't have been a big deal. Even to go from 9 to 7, I don't think is a big deal. It's on a Saturday. It's not like it's a Friday. So people are off work for the most part. And that game would start at 5 o'clock on the West Coast. So it's not the end of the world, in my opinion. I don't know, though. Maybe I'm wrong, right? So you guys let me know. And this is also me as a selfish East Coaster. Now, guys, I'm an hour behind everybody else, okay? So it doesn't, like, I'm in Moncton, New Brunswick, so we're even farther east. So we're an hour ahead of Ontario. So like the games are late for me, guys. Like the one game last week didn't start till midnight, I think it was, or almost it was midnight, I think, is when that Vancouver game started, if I'm not mistaken. So I ended up watching half of it and passed out. But wow. Anyway, so with that being said, there's the things. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. Like I said, I think that it would have been nice to see everybody come together and give the fans what they want, because I think that's the thing. Everybody's worried about money. And I get it. Money costs to make you got to make your money. I get it. Okay. Fans are what's going to bring the money in. Getting fans. You have to build that fan. So I don't know, man. Again, I'm just a fan, so I'm always on the fan side first, obviously. And I think it would have been nice to have it staggered. But you guys let me know what you think. At the end of the day, this is what we're getting, and it's going to be a banger. So we'll talk about that later in the episode here. The next thing I want to go out into is Lacrosse Canada. Okay, so Lacrosse Canada. Now we're gonna go through. So last week I went to update it, and right before I went to update it, I went to check, and I noticed that more minutes were dropped, and I was gonna put it in, but I was like, you know what? We're just gonna wait, save it for next week, and then we're gonna go over the financials because the financials are terrifying. They really are. They're you're going to see it. Okay. And so this is still a budget. So let's go over. So we've got, this was March 24th. Now, if you remember from my last episode, if not, go check it out. There wasn't that many YouTube views, but it's my fault when I put it out. If you go listen to it though, they pushed so much off for this meeting. Okay. I want you to remember that they pushed about 4 or 5 major things to this meeting. So we're going to see what they did in this meeting. So as always, we got Lacrosse Canada Board Directors meeting minutes, March 24th, 2026, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Microsoft Teams. So another Teams meeting. I love to see that because at the end of the day, when you're running a deficit, you can do this stuff online. I don't care what anybody else says. The bullshit that you need to go sit in person with somebody, I get it. There is more deals that can be made, all that stuff. I do get that to an extent. It's not worth the extra money when we're bleeding right now. We need to stop the bleeding, and then we can go back to, hey, guys, let's go in-person meetings. But right now, I think that to save the cost, virtual meetings is the way to go, and maybe one in-person a year, and it doesn't have to cost $50,000 for the fucking weekend, okay? And if it does, we're not doing it. That's how I look at it. So anyway, you got on the board, you got Matt Scherer, Barbara Lockhart, Stephen LeBlanc, Stephanie Pagan, Goldhorp. Ted Goldhorp, those are all director at large. Matt Scherer is the president. You got Hannah Lazare is the indigenous director. You've got Zach Curier as the athletic director. You've got the staff advisors. You got okay, whatever. We're staff advisors. Let's get into that. Let's pay people to advise us that we're doing it. Like advisors that fucking charge money. You drive me nuts because why aren't you just on the board then? And why are the board members not able to do this? But I digress. Another thing that maybe I'm out of my depth in, right? You got Eve Haveris, executive advisor. You got Wendy Dobbin as a technical director and high performance lead. You got Beatrice Curry as a manager of finance and business development. I would love to have her on. Yeah, let's get her on the show. Samantha McKenzie, operational lead and manager of partnerships. And then you got contributors for Gary Van Beek of member council representative. So he's a council. So this is the thing. Okay. I understand the council needs to be paid. It is what it is. It needs to be done in this situation. No problem. Like even anytime counselors should be sitting there for sure. Whether you could find a counselor or like a lawyer that would do it maybe for volunteer basis. I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. But like the executive advisor to me that doesn't make any sense. What is a board doing? Okay. Let's just start with there. I just want to get into this. The technical director and high performance lead. Again, why is somebody on the board not doing this? It doesn't make any sense to me. And manager of finance and business development. I prefer, actually, this is the only position that I'm like, okay, I'm good for paying for that because I think that somebody sitting outside should be overseeing the financial background of this. So I'm actually okay with that. And then the operational lead and manager of partnerships, again, that's a fine paid position. I think that's fine. Okay. So especially if the rest of these guys are all volunteer, which I think they are as much as I know, except for as far as I knew the executive director, right? So anyway, so member council representative. So he just gives the thanks to the creator. I'm not going to go into that whole message. I did that last time. So motion to approve agenda by Barbara Lockhart, seconded by Ted Goldthorpe. Motion to approve previous minutes, February 19th, 2026 by Ted Goldthorpe, seconded by Barbara Lockhart. So they're really running the show, those two, it looks like, at least. Operational and financial updates. High performance report. Wendy Dobbin reported on the Future of Sports Commission's final report, noting 94 recommendations to address system-wide issues in alignment with Lacrosse Canada updated strategy and operational plan priorities. Olympic update. The IOC delayed the 2032 Games decision until the fall, implementing next-gen programming. Funding. Lacrosse Canada received $800,000 for sixes and $120,000 for discipline specific events, including a training camp in Chula Vista. Sustainability. Discussions regarding a fee to offset rising costs of international qualifications and training events. The board discussed the need diversity. The board discussed the need for increased Indigenous representation in coaching and athlete pools for LA 28. Okay, so a couple things I want to run over there. So a couple things that we took from that little paragraph there. So they pushed the decision off, which is whatever. That doesn't really mean too much. I don't know. To be honest, I wish they would. I hope they give Lacrosse a second games, but it would be nice to see how the first ones go before they make the decision, but that's not how they roll. So that's just the way it is. Funding, they got more funding. They almost got $1 million, $920,000 to help with funding. So that's huge. Sustainability, as we read in this, you're going to be, your jaw will hit the floor, I think anyway. Mine did. But sustainability they're discussing regarding a national athlete fee, more money from the athletes. I'm fine with this, but the unfortunate part is that is this due to mismanagement that now the athletes have to pay for themselves, where before it was more that they were able to cover it because they weren't overspending? Or is it the fact that we're doing more international tournaments, lacrosse is growing, so it's not feasible to do, right? So that's the questions I come to mind when I look at this. And then the again, I'm going to get myself into trouble here a little bit, but the board discussed the need to increase Indigenous representation in coaching and athletes pools for LA 28. Now, you know me, I think natives are the best lacrosse players. The best lacrosse players in the world on average come out of the reserve, the Six Nations, all that stuff. The fact that I hate this in anything, is when we give a position to somebody because they are a certain gender or ethnicity. I just want the best people there. I don't care if you're native. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're a woman. I don't care if you're a man. I don't care. I don't care. All I want is the best people there. So to me, this again, and I understand this is just the way of the world, but to me, I don't care about that. I want the best people in the positions. I don't care what you are. Win us the gold medal. That's all I care about. So that's my take on it. I know that's probably an unpopular take, and it is what it is. I'm gonna say this is just my thoughts, guys, and this is the way I look at it. I just don't like to. I don't like when literature, I don't like when they do that in anything. To be honest with you, I just want the best people there. That covers for anything. So anyway, that's my little rant about that. Operations report. Samantha McKenzie provided updates on membership fee allocation projects. Priorities is technology, modernization, national streaming, sponsorship, and championship support toolkits. I like that for most part. Action item. Ted Goldthorpe offered media property resources for free streaming of national events. I love that. Thank you very much, buddy. We got finance report. Beatrice Curie reviewed the 9-month official period ending March 31st, 2026, and provided a brief preview of Q1 2027. Okay, we're looking in the future. Okay, so anyway, financial standing. Projected year-end surplus of $260,000, though revenue recognition allocations adjustments based on 12-month period may bring the closer to break even. So that's realistically in lawyer corporate, that means that they're going to be closer. They're not going to have a surplus. Let's be real. Okay. Cash flow, Q1. You had remains a critical period before substance of revenue begins to hit later in the quarter. Debit management. Priority remains paying down any AP balances in a timely manner. Governance and advisory observations. So EVA, the advisory capacity, provided an independent assessment of Lacrosse Canada's current state. Foundational stability. While the foundation is strong, the organization is at an inflection point. EVA warned that continued instability could trigger funding freezes from Sports Canada. So you're looking at possible less money coming in because they're mismanaged. Like the Sport Canada they're not going to give you money if it's not managed properly. Governance roadmap recommended a phased transition plan for modernizing governance and aligning staff capacity with senior leadership expectations. So there we go. I like that. We're at least having some sort of expectations put on these people. And then ED search emphasizes that organization must be stable before attracting a high caliber executive director. So they basically need to clean up their mess before they bring in somebody else to try to take this ship and take the reins. Okay. But it needs to get done. Somebody needs to do it. And then you got member council report. Gary Van Beek relayed the members council concerns regarding transparency and the delay of the special meeting and members SMOM. So SMOM rationale. The board clarifies the timeline followed the Not-for-Profit Act requirements to ensure procedural fairness and organizational stability. Sector committee. The council identified the constitution of sector-specified steering groups as their highest priority in the board action taken to solicit candidates for membership. Committee reports. Nomination committee. Barbara Lockhart reported the candidates were shortlisted for screening interviews through nominations committee to fill 3 vacancy board positions. ED search. A hiring committee was established and formal posting search was underway. Governance and ethics committee. Stephanie Pagan presents 11 priority items. Steering groups. The board approved the immediate solicitation of volunteers for 12 steering groups. Box Field Women's Indigenous via an open call to member association. Appeals process. Review of current discipline and appeal policies was deemed to be warranted. Further review of legislative and supporting documentation as well as current resources will be undertaken. Consultation with independent parties and members will also be conducted. So Safe Sport reported receiving disturbing complaints regarding a toxic workplace leadership and unsafe player environment in women's programs. Action items. The board will consult an independent third party to investigate past conduct, review current resources, and update the whistleblower policy. Considering the formal vetting of numerous candidates by the nomination committee, the Governance and Ethics Committee recommended that existing director positions be filled as soon as possible, as well as a Treasury officer positioning, filling these positions in critical to continued good governance and accountability of the board. Bylaw alignment. Motion to align the governance manual and bylaw 5.5 regarding gender equality ratios, max 50% of the same gender. Moved Stephanie Pagan, Barbara Lockhart carried. Appointments. Treasurer Ted Goldthorpe was proposed as treasurer pending his acceptance. Member council liaison Stephanie LeBlanc was appointed as the board's interim observe liaison to the member councils. So we went and we did find him. I think we found him on Insta. So we added him on Insta. That's going to be on the show because I would love to hear from the newer, what's going to be the newest financial or what's going to be the newest treasurer. I don't again, I always say this at this point. It's like, I'm not trying to go after Lacrosse Canada. I'm just trying to figure out what these numbers make sense. And the treasurer, I'm assuming, could tell me that. So we'll see how it goes. We've also got, adjournment. They moved Stephen LeBlanc and then seconded by Barbara Lockhart, and then the meeting was adjourned for 11:58. Not much got done there, in my opinion. Not as much as they claimed they were going to do, right? That's kind of what I was trying to just say is not as much got done as they were supposed to get done, in my opinion. There was a lot of stuff, if you will listen to my last video, that they didn't really do. They kind of did address it, I guess, somewhat, but in my opinion, just it's not moving fast enough, and they're still not taking accountability for what has gone on here. In my opinion, they're just trying to move on. They're like, oh, we're going to move on. Well, what about the there's been no answers. There's been no, I want to know what's going on, man. The people deserve to know. It's a joke that you can't just spend this much money and be like, okay, well, it's gone. Okay, well, where'd it go? Someone explain it to me. Well, it's in there. No, it's not in there. All you guys are saying, you just let your executive director go. You're basically putting it all on him. But listen to the budget here, guys. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, we're gonna close this out. Okay, so listen to this budget. Okay, this is from 2025 to 2026. Okay, this is July 25 to March 31st, 2026. Now this is still technically the budget, so this isn't the financial statement. So this isn't actually what has been, done or whatever. What's actually been spent. This is just kind of the projection, I think. And I think the one will be coming out eventually here. So we'll have to wait for that to actually drop. But when I'm looking at this, going through here very quickly, I just want to run through this very quickly because there's some numbers that stick out to me that are kind of scary a little bit. Okay, so let's start. So they got $1 million from Sports Canada, over $1 million from Sports Canada, right? So there you go, there you have it, that. They've got 15,000 total for sales, apparel and stuff like that, Shopify sales, stuff like that, which I think they should be pushing harder to try to get those partnerships. Like I said, I walked into a Lids, couldn't buy a Lacrosse Canada hat. Why? Try to get that partnered up there if you can. They got 2 grants of $100,000, Canada Summer Jobs Grant of $4,500. They've got a total of $104,000. They got $104,500. Then they've got clinic fees. They got $11,200 for clinic fees. Meeting revenue, they got $2,000, which I don't really understand that. You got coach registration fees were $147,000 last year. So total membership fees, they almost collected $1 million in total membership fees. $147,000 in coach registration fees. Officials had $64,000 in official registration fees. Organization fees were about $17,500, and then participation fees are $750,000. So that's a total of $979,605 total. And then you got transfer fees of $20,000, $175,000 in national championship registration fees. You've got sanction fees of $16,500. You've got fees from sixes tournaments, which total $60,000 there. You got $18,000 from a coaching association of Canada. You've got uncategorized items, which is fucking weird, man, of almost $2.5 million, $2.426 million. You've got gross profit of a $2.426 million. So that's what they got at the gross profit. Then you got the CAC reinvestment fee of $10,000. You've got the audit of $12,000. You've got the contract services of $5,000. Those are all the expenses. Sorry, these are expenses. So you got expenses are CAC reinvestment fee of $10,000. I'm not really sure what that is, to be honest with you, but hopefully it's something beneficial. You got the audits that cost $12,000. You got the contract services of $5,500. You've got professional fees of $5,000. You've got gain loss on exchange of $6,000. Again, not really sure exactly what that one is. You've got online officiating program of $11,000. Almost $12,000 essentially. You got promotion and marketing at $45,000. You've got the website at $22,000. You've got the website transfer system at $1,630. You've got gender equality training. You've got insurance of $30,000. Legal fees of $20,000. You've got which were broken down into Safe Sport insurance of $30,000. Legal fees of $20,000. $70,000 to Safe Sport legal fees, and then $5,000 to legal fees for governance, and then legal fees total worked out to $95,000. Office supplies and software were $17,500. Office consumables were $2,500. Postage was $1,000. Miscellaneous admin, donation/gifts was $5,000, which I don't like that. I don't like when they put that in there like that. Rent was $35,000. Shipping general was $2,000. Telephone internet was $6,000. Translation was $10,000 for what? General office administration was $216,500. Total administration was $340,550. Crazy. And then here we go. Oh God, here we go. This is all just budget. This is just projections too, I think, right? So you've got the accommodations of $10,000. This is for AGM, okay? This is for domestic meetings. This is where I'm going to get pissed off a little bit. So we got accommodations for $10,000. You got meeting rooms for $10,000. You got hospitality event for $4,000. You got delegate gift for $2,500. We're in debt. We don't need to give anybody a gift. I'm sorry. Board travel. You got $10,000 in board travel. Per diem of $2,000 and staff expenses of $4,000. So $42,500 for in-person meeting. Anyway, you know my feeling on that. Then you got another meeting. You got the SAGM. So that's the annual GM, I think. Or no, that'd be the seasonal. That'd be like the midterm one. So that one only cost $3,500. And you know why? Because they did that one online, on fucking virtual. So instead of costing us $42,500, you cost us $3,500. So like, again, until the bleeding stops, we cannot be having in-person meetings. I'm sorry. I know you're going to say, oh, Mark, it's done. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's all about trying to keep Lacrosse Canada afloat right now. It's not about fucking people's vanity. Anyway, governance, $3,550. Mr. Fricker, I'm not sitting here picking on Frick. And Frick's got thick skin. Me and him he's been on my show twice and stuff. Like, I love Frick. But I remember last year he was saying how everything's gone up, the price of milk. Well, I can tell you from over year, they spent a third of the costs because they started doing meetings online to save them money. And even that one meeting, they didn't spend as much. So how, if things have gone up, the meeting costs should have been the same as the year before, if not maybe around the same. But to see it get cut in almost a third shows how much inflation there actually was. It shows how much overspending there was the year before, in my opinion, from when I'm reading this out there. So that's, again, mismanaged. When you're bleeding, you cannot, they were bleeding and they were just like, okay, let's make some more cuts. Like, I don't get it. Like, you cannot keep spending when you're fucking drowning, So, and that's what they were doing. Whether they didn't know it, whether they knew it or not, I don't know. That's a whole other conversation, but it's crazy. Then you've got minor box, Com trophy was $1,000, a bunch of trophies. Like, I'm just going to run through. These were all, so like, okay, so actually this is kind of cool just for all. So you had the Com trophy cost $1,000. You had the, Engelman Trophy for $1,000. You had Junior B men's box. The Founders was $5,000. The minor box was $10,000. The Senior A box man cup was $7,000. Then you had the Senior B men's box, which is the President's, was $7,000. Entry pass to host was $128,000, $128,250. You had U15 men's field alumni cup was $5,000. U18 men's field First Nations was $5,000. Senior men's field Ross Victory was $5,000. Minor box Blackberry McBall was 7,300. Girls box was 3,500. Officials games fees were 8,980. So basically $10,000 or $9,000. Junior A men's box Minto Cup was $10,000. Officials travels reimbursements was $51,200. You had U19 women's field The Jenny Cup, 7,000. I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, 51,000. You're not complaining about that. It's the refs. It is what it is. Like, what are you gonna do, right? It's part of putting on the tournaments. I'm fine with the referees getting paid. I have no issue with that. They are actually giving us a service, so they should be paid. Right. And now, again, I don't know how many refs that is for. So that's a whole other conversation. Again, if it's one ref taking 50K, that's maybe a little bit much. But if, if you fucking got 10 refs, or even like if you got 20 refs or something, like it doesn't come out that much. Right. So total 56 national teams were $1,070,085. You had domestic development of $2,500. You had officiating development of $2,500, which I'm all for. Coaching development of nothing. There's no coaching development on here. Crazy. So spending all this money and still not getting coaching development. You caught comp day delivery of $4,000. You got a CAC projects of $18,080. You got coaching development at $22,989, I think, is the total coaching development, even though there's no coaching development. So it's all kind of lumped in there. But anyway, kind of weird. You got source deduction, CPPEI of $25,000. Contracts, casual labor of $4,000, monthly benefits of $30,000, payroll of dollars. So that's, again, okay. You've got an RSP contributions of $5,000. You've got staff PD of $15,000. You got staff travel of $12,000. You've got staff moving expenses of $4,000. You've got staff's expenses of $3,000. You've got total staff expenses were $34,000. Staff salaries and travels were $600, and total expenses were $2,426,000. So this is still all somewhat projections as well. I want you guys to keep that in mind. There you have it. There's the budget. Like, there's the budget for this year. That's what they're throwing. That was the 25-26 budget, like I said at the beginning. And to be honest with you guys, I'm just like, it's a little much in my opinion. I think they've reined things back, like the meetings, as you can see. Why I was pissed off with that. Everyone said I was overreacting. I think I was underreacting. Honestly, maybe not underreacting, but I think everyone else was underreacting in this situation. And I think that, obviously, I'm not saying it was me that, screaming about it, obviously, because by the time I would have figured it out, it wouldn't be me. But they're not stupid. People are gonna ask questions about that. Because if I'm asking questions, somebody that's a lot more educated and knows financials and all that and studied finance is definitely going to be asking about that. I would think anyway. I would hope. With all that being said, there's a Lacrosse Canada update again. I will keep bringing you guys the news as it comes in. And I'm just looking forward to trying to get this all taken care of. But it doesn't look like they're going to be talking about this. It doesn't look like they're going to be addressing it. It looks like they're trying to just move on. And that's not going to happen. We're going to move on if we don't know the people that are in there. If we want to move on, we need to know the people that are in there are doing the best they can for Lacrosse Canada. Hey, get out of there. Hey, come here right now. Get out of there. Get out of there. Fuck. Anyway, how are we supposed to trust these people if we don't know who is at fault? So I want to know who is at fault. I want them to call that person out, and I want to see it all taken, because right now I do not like the way this is looking. They're just looking to move on from this, and I'm not okay with that personally. So I'll keep pushing. I will keep bringing. Again, I'm not going on a witch hunt. I want the people out that are going to harm Lacrosse Canada, or have harmed Lacrosse Canada, and that have got us to this $1 million deficit that we're sitting in right now. So we need to, we're going to be coming, this will probably take us years to get back from, right? So with all that being said, there you have it, right? So, and again, I still don't really see a goal on here. So there you have it. There's the Lacrosse Canada situation. Those are my thoughts on it. And we'll continue to bring you guys more and more news as it comes in. Let's start. We have 9 games this week, okay? So quick run through of the scores for this week. We have Vegas losing to San Diego Friday night, 14-12. Georgia beating Rochester 13-6, which closed out Vegas. They weren't making the playoffs after that. You had Halifax beating Ottawa 12-6 to make the playoffs. Absolutely huge. You had Oshawa beating Buffalo 12-8. You had Colorado losing to Calgary 9-8. Calgary is going to be a scrappy team going forward. I think as early as next year, we could see them back in the playoffs, pending the way they've been playing. I'm telling you right now. You got Saskatchewan versus Toronto, 10-9 for Saskatchewan. You got San Diego losing to Vegas 18-16. Didn't matter though. They're already in the playoffs. So again, San Diego squeaked in there. I'm shocked that they're in there, but good on them. You got Philadelphia versus Vancouver. Vancouver absolutely destroying Philadelphia 17-10. And then you got Georgia closing out the weekend, back-to-back wins with 17-12 over Rochester. Absolutely huge for Georgia. set themselves up pretty good, okay? And the playoff matches, as we sit right now, well, it's actually the playoff matches are going to be Vancouver versus Halifax starting off on Friday night. Then you're gonna have Georgia and Buffalo. Crazy game. I'm pretty sure that was a season opener, if I'm not mistaken. Then you got Colorado, San Diego as well. Great game. That one should be a Colorado win, in my opinion. And then you got Saskatchewan, Toronto, which is a toss-up game. So we're gonna get through to the end. We're gonna get through all that, but I want to run through the games first, all the games of the week. So let's start off right away. San Diego beating Las Vegas 14-12. Okay, so we had Las Vegas to San Diego. San Diego hitting 9,542 in attendance. Absolutely great attendance numbers. Again, like I said, the 7,000 7,000 is the mark that you want, that Brentford wants to be hit. I'm at a 10,000 mark. I would love to see every team hit 10,000. We've seen that quite a bit this season with a few teams. San Diego did hit it at least once, if not maybe twice. But they're right there. They've got a great fan base. They've got a great. I love it. You actually get to see outdoor box there sometimes, which is really cool. And I can't wait to get down to a game because I will be going to a game in San Diego eventually. So that'll be next year thing. I've got a whole thing going for it, and I'm gonna see if I can swing it out. So we've got Las Vegas, or sorry, you have Las Vegas getting 4 in the first, 4 in the second, 0 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. And you have San Diego getting 2 in the first, 6 in the second, 2 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. And really, that third quarter really killed Las Vegas. You cannot go cold. You need to play 60 minutes, and Las Vegas didn't do it, and it cost them the playoffs because of it. Because they would have made the playoffs, and I thought they were going to. Unfortunately, it's really hard to win back-to-back games, and San Diego's at home, so it's hard. This is a great rivalry, and this is going to be a great rivalry going forward as time goes on. On Las Vegas, you had Donville getting 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points. You had Mitch Jones getting a goal and 4 assists for 5 points. You had Chris Cloutier getting 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. You had Poitras getting 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Kevin Crowley got a goal and an assist for 2 points. You also had Wesley and Blake both getting 2 assists. You had Jackson Webster and Ben Sowen getting a goal. And then you also had Goodwin and Kirst, Tyson Bell and LaFontaine getting 1 assist each. So absolutely massive. Hunter Kirst went 31% in the draw. Not great for him there, but it is what it is, going up against the beast. It's on the other side. And then on the other side of things, you had Zach Currier getting 5 goals, 4 assists for 9 points. Absolutely massive. This guy is such a threat, and he had some amazing goals out of that. You had Trey Leclerc getting a goal and 4 assists for 5 points. Connor Robinson getting 5 assists. Noah Armitage getting 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. Ben McIntosh getting 3 goals, 1 assist for 1 point, or for 4 points. Wesley Berg getting 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. And then you had Stahinis getting 2 assists, as well as Gobrek. And you had White, Takiko, Logan, and Origlieri all getting an assist as well. You had Trevor Baptiste going 70% in the draw. Chris Cavagnaw, being held pointless, but didn't matter because it was an amazing game for these guys. Alex Bouquet playing about half the game. Landon Kellis playing about half the game. Still can't figure out their goaltending situation. They have to in the offseason. Bouquet got 75 percentage. Landon Kellis got 79.3. They just can't figure out who's the guy there, and I think they just got to figure out a goaltending situation in the offseason, especially for next season. And I don't care what anybody says. If they would have did what they had to do to get Dumoud on this team, that they would have been in a playoff spot right now. So for all the people who said they didn't try hard enough, and it cost them the playoffs. And you can say whatever you want, but once you're in the playoffs, you don't know. Chase Frazier being back would have been huge if he came back this next game, which we're not going to see. Unfortunately, Chase Frazier taking that injury the first game of the season has really fucked them over. But anyway. And then you had Origlieri not having really that great of a game. 51 shots, 39 saves for a 76.5 save percentage, but it was enough to win. So overall, San Diego had a better game, obviously overall, and good on them to win the game. Then you had, we'll go Philadelphia. So Vancouver beating Philadelphia 17-10. The attendance was 9,630, so almost 10,000. Great again. Vancouver's been pretty consistent with their attendance numbers all season. You had Philadelphia getting 1 in the first, 2 in the second, 4 in the third, and 3 in the fourth. But Vancouver had 2 in the first, 5 in the second, 5 in the third, and 5 in the fourth. Just absolutely domination. Philadelphia, the longest drought was 24 minutes, which is, you can't win like that. But Philadelphia needed this loss anyway. They don't want to win. Just fucking go get your first overall pick and be done with it. You know, they're going to get Mr. Joey Spallina. Whether we'll be in Philly or not, that's still up in the air. Whether this team will be in the league next year is up in the air, but I think they're going to put them somewhere, whether that be New Jersey, whether that be wherever. The rumors are all swirled around. Everyone says Edmonton. I haven't heard positive things about Edmonton, but you never know. And I would love to see them stay in Philly. I'm diehard, especially this last game in Philly last week. Sorry, you just seen that it was It's almost 10,000 fans. Like it's there. It's just for some reason I don't know if it's because they were bad this year or whatever, but they just couldn't get the fucking fans in the buildings. You've got Philadelphia's side. Philadelphia's got a great future, by the way, but you got Lucas Nielsen with 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Sam LeClaire with 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Sinfield for 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. You got Kyle Jackson with a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. Travis Longboat for a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. Dylan Young for 2 goals, Chris Corbell with 2 assists, Liam Patton with an assist, as well as Alex Pace and Bo Columbus. Bo Columbus also went 41% in the draw. Then you have on the other side, you have Keegan Ball with 6 goals, 5 assists for 11 points, trying to clinch that final top point leader in the league this year. You have Jesse King with 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points. Curtis Dixon, 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points. Adam Charlambides with 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Marcus Claridge with a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. Ryan Dilks with a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. Owen Grant with a goal and an assist for 2 points. Subak with a goal and an assist for 2 points. Reed Bowering with a goal. Ryan Sheridan with an assist. Jeff Cornwall with an assist. Shane Simpson with an assist. Christian Del Bianco with an assist. And we had Max Adler going 60% in the draw. And then in the goaltending side of things, you had not a great night by either goalie, as much as I was just saying my praises for Nick Damoud. You had Deacon Knott playing half the game, essentially, 61 save percentage, and then Nick Damoud as well played about a little under half the game, and he had 75 save percentage with 29 shots, 22 saves. And then Christian Del Bianco had just a mediocre night for himself. 46 shots, 36 saves for a 78.3 save percentage. Absolutely. But it doesn't matter. They got the win, and that's the thing. At the end of the this game, to be honest with you, I would have liked O'Toole to play that game just to give him a thing, and give Christian the rest. But these guys know better than me. I'm not going to pretend like I know better than the coaches, right? So next we had Calgary beating Colorado 98. This was an upset. We had 15,340 fans in the building. You could argue Calgary is the best fan base in the whole league, because as much as Buffalo is putting 17,000 fans in their building, 19,000 fans in their building every game, Calgary's doing this with a team that's in last place or like right at the bottom, right? So that's impressive. This is a team that doesn't have their first round pick, sorry. So that's another impressive thing, because the fans are just showing up because they love the team. So to me, I love this team. This is on the short list to actually become my team, I think, if they can kind of get it together, right? I do like this team a lot, but they do already have one crazy fan with Sports Fan, man. That guy is nuts. If you know, you know. I love the guy. I think it's great. I love the discussion, but he's out on another planet sometimes. Shout out Sports Fan. I love you. Don't take this offensively, but it's crazy. I love to see it though, because I'm a diehard crazy fan like that too myself sometimes. I used to be with the Leafs. I find now like I'm more objectively, I can look at things a lot differently, but I don't know. He rides hard for Calgary. I'll give him that. You've got Colorado went 30 minutes without scoring. You can't do that. So Colorado had 3 goals in the first, 0 in the second, 3 goals in the third, and 2 goals in the fourth. And Calgary had 2 goals in the first, 1 goal in the second, 2 goals in the third, and a four in the fourth for the comeback. Absolutely massive, huge. Colorado actually held the lead for almost half the game as well, so they got a little bit complacent. You had Will Malcolm getting a goal and 5 assists for 6 points. You had Jack Hanna getting 3 goals, 2 assists for 5 points. Dylan McIntosh getting 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. You had Jalen Chester getting a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. You had Brandon Saris getting 3 assists. You had Thomas Vela getting a goal and an assist. And that was where everything fell off there. And Q was not in this game, actually. So, and then on the other side, you had Tanner Cook getting 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points. Brandon Maya getting 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points. Tyler Pace getting 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Noah Manning getting 2 assists. Justin Anasio getting a goal. He also went 57% in the dot. Tim Edwards went 66% in the dot. So once they brought him in, he actually did a lot better against Anasio there. But Anasio's been great in the faceoff all year. You got Dixon, Lowen, Isaacs, and Salama all getting 1 assist. You also had Braden Lady getting 12 loose balls. You guys know how much I love that stat as well. And then you've got, on the goaltending side of things, you had Dylan Ward having a great game with 49 shots, 40 saves for an 81.6 save percentage. And then you had Aiden Walsh only playing a minute 37, 2 goals against, 3 shots, one save. They pulled him, and then they put Bowman back in. Bowman having another massive game, 53 shots, 47 saves for an 88.7 save percentage, and played most of the game, to be honest with you. So absolutely massive there. Bowman's killing it. Is he going to steal this show over there? Because, I mean, how old is Bowman? Let's see. Bowman's only 23 years old, and Aiden Walsh, I think, is 25, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so, like, this is what I'm talking about. When I'm sitting here being like, people saying, oh, we couldn't, Vegas, I couldn't go get a goalie. Why wouldn't you have taken a risk on Bowman, on Whittam, on O'Toole, on Demood, on Not. So like there's so many goalies you could have went out and tried. Even a Hartley. I would even like to see a Hartley go over there and get another shot and get in a different atmosphere. And like anybody would have been better than Landon, Kells, and Bouquet, in my opinion, at this point. Like, and now, yes, 2020 hindsight's 2020, but like when you see this, you're not telling me that Calgary couldn't have traded you one of those goalies for a future. I think they would have, especially now Bowman. It's hard because he didn't really start, having these big breakouts till the end of the year, but still, like that's your job as a scout. That's your job to figure it out. And that to me is just like, I don't know. Shout it to him though. Next, we had Toronto and Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan beating Toronto 10-9. You had Saskatchewan getting 7,761 fans in the building. Absolutely huge for them. They've been kind of up and down all season. Definitely, I think that they have a great fan base there. So we had Toronto getting 3 in the first, 2 in the second, 2 in the third, and 2 in the fourth. And Saskatchewan getting 2 in the first, 0 in the second, 3 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. And this is the thing. This isn't going to work. Them not playing 60 full minutes in this league going to playoffs. Like Toronto only had 11 minutes drought, where Saskatchewan had 28 minutes. This really shouldn't have been a Saskatchewan win. They squeaked it out the end. They closed it out, and it was an amazing finish. Realistically, like that's not going to, they're not, I guarantee you Toronto's not going to let this happen again. Saskatchewan's going to have to come out top notch if they're going to beat them in the playoffs this week. So you had CJ Kurtz getting a goal and 3 assists for 4 points. You had Sam English getting a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. You had Chris Boucher getting 2 goals. You had Josh Dawick getting a goal and assist for 2 points. You had Jalen Rogers getting a goal and assist for 2 points. You had Weeks getting a goal and assist for 2 points. Owen Hills getting 2 assists as well as Josh Jackson. You had Brad Cree getting a goal with Roulette. Roulette also went 36% in the draw. You got Kellier getting assists as well as Weir. Harrison didn't get any points, but he did get eight loose balls. Brad Cree also got 13 loose balls, so absolutely massive for him. Is he a defenseman? And then you have Zach Mann's getting 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. You had Ryan Keenan getting 5 assists. You had Brock Haley getting 2 goals, 1 assist. Robert Church getting 2 goals. Jake Nasso getting 2 goals and also going 63.6% in the draw. You had Austin Shanks getting a goal and assist. Levi Anderson getting a goal. You had Zawada, Boudreau both getting assists as well. And Boudreau also got 8 loose balls. So that was absolutely massive as well. A couple guys could have put up, kind of need a little bit more out of the offensively on there. The goaltending, Nick Rose had 51 shots, 41 saves, an 80.4 save percentage. Frankie had 38 shots, 29 saves for a 76.3 save percentage. Now, I'll tell you right now, Without Mark Matthews on this team, it's a completely different team. And that's the thing. I'm assuming he's going to be back from this game. I think Toronto takes this. I think Saskatchewan's going to have an early leave, and they're going to have to go back questioning what do they do, considering they had such a great start to this season, but they dropped the ball hard, and now they have to play Toronto, which Toronto started off slow and has picked it up, where Saskatchewan started off hot and has dropped off, and they squeaked one out in overtime. But if you might see the same thing happen this week. So we'll see what happens there. But this is an up and down game. But we're gonna get a right rematch. And if Saskatchewan does end up losing, it's gonna be kick, because it's like now you have to go back and like you just beat that team the week before, and now you're gonna go back in and lose the next week. If Saskatchewan wins, Toronto's in a very good position here, because no matter what happens, Toronto's winning, because Toronto, they have such a young team that they're good to go. The only thing I'm gonna say, I don't think they have their next goalie, and I don't think they obviously just shows without Mark Matthews there, it's a completely different team. So as the other guys start to elevate, that's great. But right now they're in a weird window where they have this elite team that are they going to have the same kind of, like Mark Matthews is a player that's next to impossible to replace, right? So you've got Buffalo Bandits versus Oshawa. Next game, we got Oshawa beating Buffalo 12-8. This was an upset. Oshawa putting 6,000 fans in the building, so basically a sellout. Huge. Both Oshawa really wanted this win, and this is the thing. When it comes down to this, Dyson's really going to step up, and he wants to win this one for his brothers. He can't really, as much as this was quote unquote an upset, it kind of makes sense that they won. So you got Buffalo getting 0 in the first, 4 in the second, 1 in the third, and 3 in the fourth, and Oshawa getting 1 in the first, 6 in the second, 3 in the third, and 2 in the fourth. Oshawa would play like this the whole season, they wouldn't be sitting where they are right now, because their longest drought was under 10 minutes. Buffalo's was 25, but Buffalo's basically coasting, and Oshawa had the lead for 51 minutes, so they basically controlled this whole game. Dane Smith, on the Buffalo side of things, you had Dane Smith getting 2 goals, 4 assists for 6 points. You had Josh Byrne getting 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. You had Joey Rez getting 3 goals. He's really starting to find his way in Buffalo. Kyle Buchanan getting a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. Nick Wise getting 2 assists. You got Robinson getting an assist. Matt Vince getting an assist as well. Connor Farrell getting 72% in the draw. You also had Nick Wise getting 12 loose balls as well. Just shouted that out. Then on the other side, you had Alex Simmons having a big night with a goal and 6 assists for 7 points. Dawson Thie getting 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points. Ty Kurtz getting 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 points. Ethan Walker getting a goal and 2 assists for 3 points. Brian Benesh getting a goal and 2 assists, or getting a goal and assist. Dyson Williams getting a goal and assist. Patrick Koschak getting a goal and assist. Tager Clark getting a goal, as well as Will Johansson. Koschak getting 10 loose balls as well. And Mike Byrne went 33% in the draw, and Zach Mason went 14, so not great in the draw there. That doesn't usually matter, though. Matt Vince getting going 48 shots, 36 saves for 75%. So not really as good as we've seen him in the last few weeks, but it's still not bad. Could probably needs to be improved if they're going into playoffs, but this was kind of a game that I'm sure he wasn't taking overly seriously. And then you've got Doug Jameson getting 52 shots, 44 saves for an 84.6 save percentage. Huge. If this team, like I said, if this team could have played like this whole season, they wouldn't be sitting where they are, and they'd be sitting in a playoff spot. And this is a team that I'm frustrated by, because I think they're way better. But it's like, okay, so what do you go from here for Oshawa? Where do you go? They have a lot of things to look at in the offseason and to see how they can get back on top. So, all right, now we get to in my opinion, the game of the week. Now, I do want to say, hold on. I do want to say before we move on to the next game, this game was rough and tough. This game was back and forth, a lot of hits, a lot of pushing, a lot of kind of dirtiness, a lot of, especially the end of the game there, Oshawa pushing Buffalo's buttons, but Oshawa pulled out the win. So, I mean, and that's the thing. I think they just I think they could have just been in such a better position. Halifax, on the other hand, here, Halifax beating Ottawa 12-6. Again, we can go talk about the Dawson Thie trade if you guys want. I still don't think that I think that was a horrible trade, especially the situation that Halifax is sitting in here. And it's a little bit, I'm a little bit. It's a little bit salty to me still. So you got Halifax beating Ottawa 12-6 here. They put 10,595 fans in, so basically a packed house there. You had Ottawa getting 2 in the first, 2 in the second, 0 in the third, and 2 in the fourth. And you had Halifax getting 2 in the first, 6 in the second, 0 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. So that second quarter really put them up. Fourth quarter closes it out, but that third quarter, both teams just couldn't get it done. You had Ottawa going 26 minutes without a goal, and Halifax 16:34 without a goal. Halifax led the game for 39 minutes with Ottawa only leading the game for 6. And you had Jeff Teague getting 3 goals, 2 assists for 5 points. Robert Hellier getting a goal and 3 assists for 4 points. O'Connor getting 3 assists. Sundown getting a goal, which I think I heard somebody say you might see him in Halifax next year. I love Sundown, so I'd be happy for that. Sam Firth getting a goal, Connor Kiernan getting an assist, Phil Caputo getting an assist. You had Matt Marner getting 12 penalty minutes, my bad. And you had Jake Stevens getting 10 loose balls. Big shout out to there. Then on the other side, on Halifax side, you had Clark Peterson getting a goal and 3 assists for 4 points. Bo Hunter getting 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. Graham Hosak getting 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. You had Jason Knox getting 2 goals. You had Cody Jameson getting a goal and assist. Colton Armstrong getting goal and assist. Roman Church getting a goal and assist as well. Casey Wilson getting 2 assists. He stepped in honestly pretty good, a little bit more offensive, all that kind of stuff. Mike Robinson getting a goal. Trevor Smith getting a goal. Stephen Coe getting an assist. Brian Terfenko getting an assist. Warren Hill getting an assist as well. You had Jake Withers, no surprise, getting 15 loose balls, but also 84.2% in the draw. And then in goalie, you had Zach Higgins, 40 shots, 30 saves for 75%. And then on the other side, you had Drew Hutchinson he had 3 shots, 2 saves for 66. But you Warren Hill playing most of the game. I think they were just trying to get Hutch a little bit of minutes in there. You had 5 goals against, 39 shots, 34 saves with an 87.2 save percentage. Absolutely massive by Mr. Hill again. And Hill it's funny because at the beginning of the season, everyone was worried that Hill was going to be the issue, all this stuff. And it's funny because Hill was actually the X factor here. The reason that they're in the playoffs is because of Warren Hill. Warren Hill has really stepped up this season and had a career season. It's amazing. He had a game, like a historic game at the beginning of the season, just kind of held on to that, had a couple down games, but for the most part, all amazing, amazing games. Next, you have Rochester versus Georgia. Georgia beating Rochester 13-6. The first game of 2, only putting 4,500 fans in their building. You know this, like I always say, this team, it doesn't matter about fans because they have their owner. Their owner is passion project. This isn't going to be an issue until he decides that he doesn't want to do this anymore. So you have Rochester getting 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 0 in the third, and 3 in the fourth. So only 3 goals a half, not enough. And then you had Georgia getting 3 in the first, 1 in the second, 5 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. Second half was was obviously the one that won them the game. Very close first half, but Georgia just took over in the second half. Rochester going 24 minutes without a goal. You can't do that. Georgia held the lead for most of the game, 6 minutes in that. You had, on the Rochester side, you had Connor Fields getting a goal and 3 assists for 4 points. Ryan Launchbury getting a goal and assist. Smith, Hogg, Williams, Jensen all got a goal. And then you had Kyle Waters, Hutton, Sano, and Gillies all getting an assist. You had Jeremy Thompson having a massive night in the dot for 69%. And on the other side, you had Shane Jackson getting a goal and 5 assists for 6 points. Nolan Byrne, 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. Benedict, 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points, as well as Connell with 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Lyle Thompson got 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. Jacob Hickey got 3 assists. Brian Cole got a goal and assist. Jeff Henrique got 2 assists. Adam Weidman got a goal, as well as Ben Trumbull. And Keen Moon got an assist. So did Mike Manley, Seth Van Scheppen, and Brett Dobson all got assists. You had a bunch of guys taking different face-offs as well on this side, trying to figure out Jeremy Thompson. And then you had Hartley, 44 shots, 31 saves, 70.5 save percentage. And you had Brett Dobson with 56 shots, 50 saves for an 89.3 save percentage. So another massive night for Brett Dobson. MVP, he's definitely goalie of the year. Should be MVP as well, in my opinion. You can't tell me that if out of everybody sitting here right now, that he's not the best goalie in the world. I was getting into this week a little bit. Who's the best goalie in the world right now? Brett Dobson, in my opinion, it is. A lot of people said Delbs is still the best overall. You got to see more consistency out of Brett. In box, I agree, but if you go look at his field accolades, it shows that he's consistent. I think Brett Dobson, like I said, is the best goalie in the world right now overall, lacrosse goalie, but even he's working his way into becoming the best goalie, like box goalie in the world as well, in my opinion, right? So that was a massive for them, and huge. So then we got back-to-back games here. We got them playing Sunday. Georgia beating them Sunday, 17-12. 9,000 in attendance, record for Rochester Nighthawks, this new franchise since they've taken over. So massive. I think you're going to see a lot more. I think you're going to see more and more people come out to these games as time goes on here. They've done a really good job there, and they're going to be doing a lot more this offseason, I think. They're teasing those jerseys, those new jerseys, all that kind of stuff. So you got Georgia's longest drought was under 10 minutes. Rochester's was better with only 16 minutes. Definitely a much better game for them. But Georgia held the lead for 57 minutes and 44 seconds, so pretty much right away. You had on Van Scheppen, Shanahan, all with an assist as well. Ben Trumbull also went 42% in the draw. And then on the other side of things, you had Connor Fields getting a goal and 6 assists for 7 points. Thomas McConvey getting 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points. Ed Williams getting 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points. Ryan Launchberry getting 6 assists. Ryan Smith getting 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points. Jake Pisano getting a goal and assist for 2 points. Thistlevale with getting an assist, as well as Don Coates. And you had Jeremy Thompson going 69% in the draw again. Ryan Smith got 13 loose balls. Shout out to him. McConvey got 11 as well. Just a hardworking team over here on the Rochester side, but just not enough to win. But they did put on quite a show. You had Brett Dobson playing most of the game, 55 shots, 47 saves for an 85% in the draw, or in 85 save percentage. And then you had Shanahan, they tried to put in there, but he got 7 shots, 3 saves, and 42.9 save percentage. So they definitely could tell Brett Dobson is the guy there. And then Riley Hutchcraft, he had a 68 save percentage night, 50 shots, 34 saves, slightly worse than even Hartley was the night before. They gotta do a goalie move on this one, and we'll see what happens going forward there. Okay, so let's run through the point leaders right now. You Keegan Ball getting 45 goals, 79 assists for 124 points, 6.9 points per game average, 9 power play goals, 3 shorthanded goals, 186 shots on goal with almost a 24.2 shooting percentage, 106 loose balls, only 6 penalty minutes, 85 turnovers, 1 caused turnover. Absolutely massive for him. Great to see it. So he was number 1. Connor Fields would have been number 2 at 119 points. Dane Smith, 118. Jeff Teat, 115. Josh Byrne, 113. Alex Simmons with 109. Launchberry with 106. Donville with 105. Mitch Jones with 104. Tyler Pace with 103. Tanner Cook with 101. Hellier. So we had 11 guys. I think that was roughly around the same as last year. With over 100 points. You had Hellier just missing it with 99. Keenan getting 95. Clark Peterson getting 90. Will Malcolm 989. So I'm getting lower. That's the top. There's your top 15. Andrew Q, honestly. So goals, let's see who we had as goals leader. Tanner Cook led the league in goals for 49. You had Keegan Ball with 45, Andrew Q with 45, but Andrew Q only played 12 games, 6 less games than the other two, and he was still right in this mix. He would have arguably been the goal leader if he would have just played a full season. Jeff Teat had 44, Curtis Dixon had 42, Smith had 42, Connor Fields had 41, Alex Simmons had 41, and Chris Cloutier had 40 with that big weekend performance, and Clark Peterson had 40 as well. 10 guys over the 40 goal mark. Tanner Cook had 49, but nobody hit 50 this year. So we'll see how it was for next year. Goalies on the other side. Let's see. We had save percentage. Bowman finished. I know he only played 116 minutes, but I still want to give him a little bit of a shout out because he had a 92.3 save percentage, 104 shots with a 96 saves, 4.12 goal against average. These goalies are just getting better and better. Carlson, we're not going to talk about him actually. Brett Dobson, he amazing. 34 goals against, over 1,000 minutes played. Shots on goal were 876, 742 saves, 7.86 a goal against average. I think the lowest in history, if I'm not mistaken. You had an 84.7 save percentage. Massive. 11 wins, 6 losses. Huge. And that's with nothing against Georgia, but that's with the Georgia team. Huge. Whittam, I always like to give him a little bit of a shout out. 83.8 save percentage with over 100 minutes played. You had Nick Rose, Connor O'Toole, again, very small, only 21 minutes played this season, but still had an 83 save percentage. Nick Rose had an 81.5. Christian Del Bianco had an 81.4. So arguably Christian actually wasn't even. Troy had a 77.1. Howachuk Hartley had a 76.6. I'm going to give you my Players of the Week awards real quick. I'm going to run through them. I'm going to give my Player of the Week to, man, it's hard because I don't know if you can count Kyrie as a defenseman. That's the problem. The way he was playing, he's like transition offense. So I don't know if I'm going to count him as a defenseman, honestly, right now. But technically he is. He's transition, he's defense. I'm going to say Offensive Player of the Week was Lyle Thompson because he had 2 pretty big games. My Rookie of the Week is going to be Nolan Byrne because, again, he had two pretty good games. He's been consistent. It could be CJ Kirst. It could be Ty English, but I'm going to give it to Nolan Byrne this week for me. Defensive Player of the Week, I'm going to give to Curie, I guess. I mean, I don't know if that's kind of wrong. I get that, but technically he is slotted as a defenseman, at least in my fantasy league. I'm going to do my Rookie of the Week. Or no, I already did that. My Goaltender of the Week is going to be Bowman out of Calgary. Huge game. Huge back-to-back games. Brett Dobson, honorable mention to him. He was amazing, but he's going to get enough recognition here coming forward in a minute. So we're going to give it to Bowman. And yeah, there you go. There you guys have it. There's my weekly awards real quick for you guys. And then we're going to get into my yearly awards. So let's go into my yearly awards here. So where did I have this all written out here? Hold on. Power rankings. I'm not doing this episode because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at this point. Doesn't matter. So let's go through a couple of the awards, okay? So MVP. Now, who's in the running is the real question. Like I said, I don't get a vote. I hope that changes over time, but I don't get a vote right now. But I know like Patty has one for sure. Teddy's got one. You know, I'm hoping Graham has one. If Graham doesn't have one, that's crazy. So anybody who's got one, I'm sure they're gonna respect that. Anybody that I know that has one I trust them, right? They're going to pick a logical choice, right? Anybody that I know. I think Dan Aresti might have one as well. I hope he does. Anyway, so let's talk about the award. So MVP, my MVP is going to be Brett Dobson. I don't think there's anything really to debate here. If MVP is most valuable player, if Brett Dobson wasn't on Georgia, they wouldn't make the playoffs. Dane Smith is a good example of this. Dane Smith, he came in clutch for that team. You could argue that Dane Smith should be the MVP, especially the turnaround they've had. But at the end of the day, if Dane Smith wasn't on a team, would they still be where they are? I think more so than if you didn't have Brett Dobson on Georgia, right? Jeff Teat, he didn't make the playoffs, therefore he's out of the running in my opinion. Same as Connor Fields, didn't make the playoffs, out of the running in my opinion. Keegan Ball, you could argue that, but again, you have Delbs there that's been having really good games. You have other players that have also had really good games, but Keegan Ball is kind of an underrated MVP nomination that I think arguably could be the guy that gets slotted in here, but I'm going to take Brett Dobson for MVP, nothing to talk about. Offensive Player of the Year, this is where it gets a little bit hard. I mean, how do you not take Keegan Ball? The way he sets everybody up. And if you look, it's more assists than it is goals. He's still one of the top goal leaders. So I'm going to take Keegan Ball for Offensive Player of the Year, but there's also other. Mitch Jones could be named in this. He did a lot over in Vegas. Did a lot over in Vegas. Mitch Jones is a player that comes to mind for Offensive Player of the Year. Jeff T could still be considered in this conversation. He did amazing. Connor Fields, if you're talking guys who went to the playoffs. So I think that it's, like I said, to me, it only makes sense that it goes to him. To Keegan Ball. Keegan Ball, that's the thing. And I said this at the beginning of the season. You can go check it in my videos. I said if Keegan Ball is the best player on that team, even after all the additions they made, Keegan Ball is still the guy over there. And I actually thought his points might come down a little bit, but he did so amazing, and he was able to facilitate such a great. So these guys, Vancouver is the favorite, in my opinion, to win the championship this year, and that's why I'm actually not cheering for them because I think that they have such a great chance. It just can't be on. I'm just that's not my thing. Now, defensive player of the year, this is where it kind of gets a little bit subjective. So a couple guys that I think could be in the consideration the for the defensive player of the year. Brad Cree, he led the leaders with caused turnovers with 33. Matt Hosak was at 32 in Saskatchewan. Like I said, I probably would have picked Matt Hosak the beginning of the year more so. Caleb Jones, again, he was kind of the leader for a long time. Great games, kind of fell off the second half of the season, in my opinion, a little bit. Michael Grace, rookie, amazing season for Michael Grace. I think honestly, I could argue a good case that he should be the defensive player of the year. Tyson Bell is even, I would have to put in there. He had 26. Also, if you're talking blocks, you had Paul Dawson with 39 blocks. And straight up, he got 2 assists all season. So he's strictly a defensive player. Mitch DeSnew could also be in the running. Again, he missed about 4 games this season, so that could kind of take his down. Mike Messenger, also solid. 29 blocks, huge. Robert Hope has just been I've given him my defensive player of the week multiple times, so I know he's all for it. I think Robert Hope is a good candidate. But to be honest with you, the way they've played, the way the games have been, the way that their expectations were, I would like to see Brad Cree get the defensive player of the year. Honestly, I'd like to see that. I think that would be an amazing thing to see. Goaltender of the year. Brett Dobson ran away with this right from the beginning of the season. There is no argument to be made here. Brett Dobson is the goal of the year. I don't care what you say. You're wrong if you don't think so. And you're biased because Brett Dobson has been absolutely killer. And this is just the first season of many for him. I think he's really come into his form this year. And I can't wait to see him. Rookie of the year, CJ Kirst ran away with this. I was kind of saying, Sam English, it's like, it's hard because they both had such good seasons. Like it kind of is frustrating because honorable mention for Nolan Byrne here, but you had CJ Kurz getting 71 points, 34 goals, huge. Owen Hiltz getting 32 goals, 32 assists for 64 points. Nolan Byrne, 36 goals, 19 assists for 55 points. Saris is also kind of somewhat in there as well, got 53 points. But the only ones that I can really see, the only argument that I seen, honestly, was Sam English here. Sam English had 11 goals, 17 assists for 28 points. To be honest with you, honestly, after looking at this, yeah, CJ Kurst ran away. There is no other answer for that. I'm sorry. I think the only one again who gave him a run for his money is Sam English, but I think the consistency of CJ Kurst, the way he's done what he's done, he's gonna get rookie of the year. There's nothing to talk about. Coach of the year, in my opinion, it's coach of the year, man. I want to say Georgia. I want to say it's Georgia. Georgia's coach. Who's Georgia's coach? Hold on. I know who it is, but I'm blanking on the fucking name right now. Yeah. Ed Como, I think, in my opinion, should be the coach of the year. The way, again, the expectations for Georgia were for them to be kind of a bubble team from a lot of people. Even a lot of people had them missing the playoffs, and what they've done. And Brett Dobson, again, has just been amazing, and it's made the job a little bit easier on him. But I have to give it to Ed Como. You could also argue Chris Malosky, I think, is also in the running there in Vancouver. But I do think that Ed Como, with what he had and what he lost, and still able to position himself in the position they are, I think that it's them, babe. There's nothing to talk about. Transition player of the year, hands down, is Zach Hurier out of San Diego. There's nothing to talk about. I don't think there's a better transition guy out there right now. So easy pick for that. And then you got the teammate of the year is a hard one. I don't really know how I would choose that one. I don't know. That one's a hard one for me because it's like only really the ones that I think know that are the coaches and the players. So I'm gonna leave that one alone personally, and I'll just enjoy whoever wins that one. Sportsmanship award. Again, this is another one. I think to be honest with you, Jeff Teague always comes to mind when it comes to that stuff. Will Malcolm is another one that comes to mind for that one. The media person of the year award, which I've seen some names that are floating around there. I gotta actually I'll go look them up. I'm gonna read you off the names because I mean this one's near and dear to my. These are the people that are nominated. This was by Adam Levy that put this out. Shout out to him. You have Andy Lindahl, which is the Colorado Mammoth, Ashley Docking, which is TSN and Toronto Rock, Craig Ribinitsky, I apologize if I said that name wrong, Rochester Nighthawks, Dave Buchanan, Buffalo Bandits, Drew Peckhoff with the Georgia Swarm, Gary Groob with the All Lacrosse All the Time. Cool to see him get a nomination as well. He's done a lot for the game. Graham Perro, NL Chatter. Honestly, my vote probably would go to him. Myself, Heather Morrison, Saskatchewan Rush, Jake Elliott, Vancouver Warriors. Love Jake. If he won it, I wouldn't be mad at that at all. John Gertler, Buffalo Bandits, Mackie Jenner, TSN, Halifax Thunderbirds, Matt Cullen, TSN, Ottawa Black Bears, Morgan Worth, Las Vegas Desert Dogs, Ryan Bellatine, Calgary Roughnecks, Scott Gabrielson, Philadelphia Wings, and Teddy Jenner, TSN. To me, to be honest with you, I'm going to have to, I think if I had to put my money down, I would put it on Mackie. I think Mackie, with the way everything that she was, the way that they laid out the path for her, and also the way that she grabbed everything, and the way, I mean, I'm big on Mackie. I think that she's one of the people. She's one of my favorite announcers to um to listen to. And like I said, I understood when everything was going on where it was like, oh, she's the first female to do this, and I love that. I think it's amazing for women. I think it's, the league, I have to say, is so great at promoting women. And but I kind of did, like, I don't think she's just a great female announcer. I think she's a great announcer and one of the best announcers, one of my favorite people to listen to, and I actually try to learn a lot off of her. But with all that being said, I think that she doesn't, like, to win this award would just be a nice way to end off the year. I think she'd probably be the first woman to win this award. I could be wrong on that one. And I think that if anybody deserves it, it's her. Like I said, Graham also, to me, is another one that I would really like to see win this award. He deserves some recognition for all the stuff he does. I go off all this, like, I go by his stat site, not the NLL site. So that's what's that tell you? He gets shouted on every podcast, OTCB, Lacrosse Classified, all that kind of stuff. So I think that it's interesting to see, right? And I think that makes the most sense to give Mackey it. But like I said, I would love to see Graham win it as well. I think he's well deserved as well. So either to those two, I think those two are the front runners for me. Like I said, I think Teddy could win it. I think anybody on this list, if they win it, I'm not going to be mad about it. Let's just put it that way. But I do think that there are certain people that are kind of at the top end of that list that I think that need to win. And I'm not sure if Jake's ever won one or not. So I'll have to look. I feel like if you won one already, though, I think maybe give it to somebody else would be a little bit nicer, to be honest. But it's always nice to get recognized, especially with all the stuff you do. So Gary Grube's another one that kind of, I think he's just a media guy. I'm pretty sure he's just like a social media guy, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, that's really cool to see. And I'm hoping one day my name could be on there. That would be a dream of mine eventually one day. So I think that's cool. But shout out to all those guys, all those people, and glad to see all of those guys or all those people getting recognition. So, and then you're going to, for the Executive of the Year award, I think it only makes sense that you get I think that if Vegas would have made the playoffs, I think Sean Williams would have won it. But I think because of that, I think the way that the position that they're in and how they've elevated their game, I think Kurt Malosky gets it in Vancouver. I think everything that he did to bring everybody in is just absolutely massive. So there you go. There's that thing and all that kind of stuff. So you guys let me know what you think about that, and who you guys would also put as who you would give those awards to. So with that being said, let's get right into the playoff matchups. We have playoffs coming up this week, and we've got some absolute banger matchups. So we're gonna run through them, and I'm gonna go tell you who I think is gonna win these games. Okay. So Halifax versus Vancouver. In Vancouver, this is unfortunate for Halifax with the position they put themselves in. I think Halifax is such a great team, and I think that they are going to, like, they could upset everybody here, but I cannot go against Vancouver in this. I can't. As much as I wish I could, and I wish Halifax will win, and I'll be cheering for them to win. I'm going to be rooting for them. I just cannot see them beating Vancouver. Vancouver is a juggernaut. They went to the semis last year, and they are the favorites to win, and I just can't see them getting eliminated. With that being said, this is a one-game round, so anything can happen, and you never know. So like I said, I'm going to be rooting for Halifax, but I got to give it to Vancouver, hands down. You got to think the goaltending slightly goes to Delbs, right? Slightly, with the way Hill's been playing this season. The defense, Vancouver. The transition game, Vancouver. The offense, Vancouver. I just have to give every category goes to Vancouver. And in that sense, right there, we've got it. It's going to get done. So Friday night, though, like I said, I will be streaming. I'm going to be opening up. I'll do this later today. I will make a new a new Twitch account, and I'll be playing on that account. So with that being said, can't wait to play with some of you guys. I'll be inviting people in my chat. I'll be going live. We're been doing a whole launch thing for it. So as soon as I get home from work Friday, I'm sitting down and I'm going to start gaming like crazy. So I'm not doing nothing else. So Friday is going to be a banger. So where to watch this first game is TSM Plus, and ESPN Plus. So get on it, watch it, and I can't wait to think. And I'm not sure if NL Plus will have these games or not. So it's playoffs, so it might be a little bit different. I'm not sure. Then you've got, I don't think it is going to be on NL Plus, so that's too bad. Then you've got Saturday, you've got San Diego playing Colorado at 9 p.m. And this is the same Eastern time. This is the same as Toronto, Saskatchewan. Both these games are playing at the same time. Patty's doing the Saskatchewan game. I'm surprised Mr. Jansen's not in there, but it is what it is. So San Diego, you've got Colorado. I'm going to have to take Colorado here. Colorado, this is the one game that I'm pretty confident in. Like I said, I think San Diego's are like a lot better than I thought they were at the beginning of the season. I also think they're a lot more gritty. then it's going to be a tight game. So I do think this is going to end up being a like 1-2 goal game. I don't think this is going to be a big blowout, but I do think Colorado wins no matter what. So I think their team, like I said, if we're going over goaltending, they've got the advantage in goaltending. Defense, they've got the advantage in defense. Offense, they've got the advantage in offense. Like they in transition, same thing. They've got the advantage every single category. I think they win. This is the one that I think for some reason my gut's telling me Halifax, but I think I'm a little biased, so that's why I don't want to say that. But I do think that Colorado takes this pretty decisively. Saskatchewan, Toronto, this is one that went to overtime the weekend before that we just went over that game. It was super tight. Toronto actually led the game most of the game. Toronto, like I said, they're the best team when firing on all cylinders. And for that reason, I'm going to pick Toronto. I'm assuming with this being said, Mark Matthews in it. If Mark Matthews does not step in this game, I'm taking Saskatchewan. So that's the little caveat here. Okay. But if Mark Matthews is on that side, you know this team's going to be bumping. You know Saskatchewan's just kind of, they've had a bad second half of the season, and I just think they needed to win at home, but I just think that they're going back, same game, same venue, same everything, and I think Saskatchewan gets the loss this time. It was a tight game. The Toronto probably should have won. So I'm going to take Toronto in this one. Full game that starts to kick off the night. You got Buffalo versus Georgia. Georgia's at home. Buffalo has been absolutely fantastic, minus last week, the second half of this season, but in Brett Dobson, we trust. And I think for that reason alone, Buffalo loses this game. Georgia takes it at home. Hopefully they get a crowd out there, and I can't wait to see Georgia take this one. So officially, my official picks are Vancouver, Colorado, Toronto, and Georgia. So we got 3 home teams winning there, and I think that's kind of sounds right to me. Go to Who You Got if you haven't, and go sign up for their playoff contest. You basically have to pick the teams in order from, so here's basically how I've got it ranked. So from 8 to 1, I've got San Diego at 8, Halifax at 7, Saskatchewan at 6, Buffalo at 5, Georgia at 4, Toronto at 3, Vancouver at 2, and Colorado at 1. I think we're going to see a Colorado-Vancouver final as long as it runs that way, which I think it does. I think Colorado takes the whole championship this year. I think that they just have the most complete team overall. Vancouver, you've seen it over the time, okay? I'm not a hater here. I love Vancouver. I think they're a great team. I just think the issue with them is that you've seen them, and you've seen Colorado do the same thing, don't get me wrong. So it's like, it's both. But when I look at the teams, I think that trio, deadly, as long as Q's healthy, right? This is a big thing. As long as everybody's healthy, I will take Colorado over Vancouver. Now, here's my rationale with that, okay? So I think you've got Colorado, their defense, their goaltending. So the goaltending, in my opinion, is a wash. If anything, you could argue, I would slightly give it to Colorado. First off, they have, if you're talking both, Nathan Whittam, in case, God forbid, anything happens, Nathan Whittam is ready to step in, where O'Toole, we're not 100% sure. I think he is too, but we're not 100% sure he could just step in there. Where Nathan Whittam, I think, is more proven a little bit. But let's say that nothing bad happens because we want to see the best on best. So let's say it's Delves versus Ward. I personally think Ward, I would put my money on Ward this year. I think he's been a bit more consistent than Delves. Delves has about a little bit of an up and down season if you go watch every week. Now, definitely he's had some absolutely amazing games, but so has Dylan Ward. Defense, I think Colorado has a bit more of a veteran defensive presence, and I think overall their defense is just a little bit better. Offensively, that trio is just too scary for me. I think that's why they win the championship this year. Shout out PK for coming in clutch with the answer. So yeah, that basically I'll piece together. What's going to happen is you're going to get 1 through 8 play the 4 or 5 seed, and then whatever teams win off those ones. So if it's 5 and 8, they'll end up playing each other. I think the reseeding should happen. After like looking into this, I think reseeding should work. It should happen though, because like 1 through 4 win. Like if all the favorites win, then it's easy. But if it gets messy, if like there's an upset. That's crazy. All right. So, okay. So there we have it. That's pretty much, there you guys have it. So there's my thoughts on the playoffs. Like I said, I think Colorado is going to take this home. I just think they're too strong not to. Now, who am I going to cheer for the playoffs? So this is the first time I'm going to say this. So we were down to 3 teams, Halifax, Toronto, and Colorado. Halifax kept in, and I said to everybody, if Halifax gets in there, it's going to be really hard not to pick them. Okay. I'm going to tell you, I'm not picking Halifax. And this is only because I don't think they're going to get there. Now, I hope they win, right? And it's going to be a rough couple of years because they're going to be going through a retool or a rebuild, whatever you want to call it. And I do think that they have a team that can go win it this year. Don't get me wrong. And this is anybody's year. This is legit anybody's year. I just cannot pick them because I want to cheer for a team long term in this playoffs. I want to get a little bit of an underdog and a little bit of some grit. And I think that they have a chance, right? Now, I still will be cheering for Halifax, especially if my team goes out in the first round. That I think, right? Then I'll jump on the Halifax bandwagon after that. I'm going to be going down to the game. If they get a home playoff game, I will 1000% be there. Nothing to talk about. I'm still, no matter what happens, even if I don't become a quote unquote Halifax fan, I will still be somewhat of a fan of Halifax, right? Now, with that being said, that leaves 2 teams, right? That leaves 2 teams. We got Colorado and we got Toronto. Now, Colorado, I think they actually did finish first overall, if I'm not mistaken. No, second overall. They finished second overall. So they're technically not the favorites because that's why I didn't want to pick Vancouver. I didn't want to pick a favorite. Like I said, I think Colorado they're going to win. I do think that, right? With that being said, I think that they're almost, again, it's one of those things that I don't know, do I run with Colorado? Do I run with Toronto? This is where it comes down to, right? Toronto, the thing about Toronto is my hometown, right? Hamilton, Ontario. They have such a solid team. I think they're in that window that they can actually go win the championship this year, but no one's running with them. And that's why I'm going to choose Toronto here. I'm going to go with Toronto because I think they have a chance. I think they beat Saskatchewan, which pushes them into the second round. And I think at that point, they would end up playing like Colorado possibly. So I'm going to take Toronto on this one. I'm going to take Toronto over Colorado. It was a hard thing. Like I said, I think Colorado actually has the best chance to win, but they're a little bit too favorite for me. Now, was going to give myself a little bit of leeway here because I was the one that was talking about them at the beginning of the season when everyone thought they were trash. I think I said they were going to end up finishing with a 10-8 record. What'd they finish with? I'm almost positive I said 10-8. So what'd they finish with? Colorado finished with a 12-6. So even better than I thought they were going to, right? But when I seen them play in the preseason, I was just amazed by them. The way they move the ball, the way they, all that kind of stuff. The addition of Jack Hanna getting brought in. The Andrew Hughes stepping up and being such a force on that team. Will Malcolm already kind of, you knew what you were getting out of him. So Colorado is right there. They were right there down at the end, but I am taking Toronto. I have to go with Toronto. I think, like I said, Halifax, I would love to run with Halifax, but I just can't see them getting past Vancouver. Toronto, I could see them getting past Saskatchewan. I actually do think they're going to get past Saskatchewan. And because I've called them the best team in the league all season when everything's firing, I think they do it. Now, with that being said, this is going to be with Mark Matthews there. That's the thing. We need Mark Matthews to be in the playoff game, and I think he's going to get there. So I'm going to run with Toronto. Now, the thing about Toronto is, guys, I pick them this year. They don't make the playoffs or they lose. I cannot pick them until I run through every other team that is in the playoffs for next year for my next team. So that's why it's so weighted, this decision. I think they have a chance to win, but I don't think they're the favorites to do it. So I think they're right in that sweet spot for me because I don't like cheering for the favorites unless they're my team, which I don't have a team yet. So I can't, as much as I can't choose Vancouver, I can't choose Colorado just because they are quote unquote the favorites to win. I got to go with Toronto. They're a little bit gritty. They got some sandpaper to them and I'm going to choose them. So Toronto's my team. For anybody hanging around this long that has listened to me, Toronto all day. I know there's some Saskatchewan fans that listen to me. They're disappointed. I know there's going to be some, Halifax fans that are disappointed in my decision. I know there's a Colorado guy that's been really hard trying to get me on board. Georgia, I'm a big Brett Dobson fan. So this is the thing. Even though I am cheering for Toronto, I am cheering for a bunch of teams here, guys. I think it's going to be awesome to see any of these teams win. I think that they're all a benefit to all of these. With all that being said, guys, I think we've hit everything. This has been a long podcast. I'm going to have to edit this up. With all that being said, as always, leave me a comment. If you're still here, I appreciate you that much more because it's crazy that you've been listening to this long. And I was listening to my own podcast, so I'll get there. You suck or you working at this point when I'm listening to this. But with all that being said, thanks for listening. Leave in the comments what you want to see. Leave me a comment and just anything. I love hearing you guys. And yeah, I can't wait for playoffs. Like I said, we're going to be streaming the game this week. We'll be going live for the game. We're going to be doing a lot of streaming with this new video game coming out. I promised I would stream every day, and I'm going to be. Maybe it'll turn into a whole gaming channel. Who knows? So with all that being said, love you guys. My name is Jake McDonald. I'm Anything Lacrosse, and this is a game that never sits still. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.